Hi everyone, I'm Rejoice on Umatta Consultant Podcast. Today we have the privilege of speaking with Clémence. She is the co-founder of Break the Mold and she's also the founder of the Uplift. I would love for her to introduce herself as she sees fit and then we'll dive right into the questions. So Clémence, the mic is yours.
Okay, thank you, Rejoice. So, hi everyone, and my name is Clémence. I'm based in Paris, and as Rejoice explained, so I have like two hats. Let's put it this way. So the first hat is like a founder of the Uplift, and basically it's an advisory firm advising SMEs on everything related to sustainability. Basically, it's just like helping SMEs like join the sustainability train because at first it might seem like a nightmare because there's so many things to do, but in the long term, you can see it's like there's only advantages, sorry, to join the sustainability train. And the second hat is more like a non-profit because I come from the finance industry. So with my co-founder, we did found Break the Mold, which is a non-profit helping purpose-driven entrepreneurs from Africa to get the tools to be fundraising ready. Because as we always say, at some point you will need money to raise your business, but there's a way of asking money, and like you can have the best idea ever. If you don't have like the codes or on how to ask the money, you won't get the money, and basically your business won't be able to survive in the long term. So, in a nutshell, that's what I do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Clemens. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. First question for you. Can you share a bit about your background and what inspired you to co-found Break the Mold and the Uplift?
Background wise, I won't go back very far, but basically, I have a low background and I did work for a few years as a financial in-house lawyer, but I didn't really enjoy it. So I went back to school and I did something like more general, related to business administration. And then I went to work still in the financial industry, but more on the audit processes side, compliance, all this kind of stuff. And also I've worked in like Europe since I'm based in Paris, but also in Asia, so particularly Singapore for a few years. And like in every one of my positions, I had topics related to sustainability. I had to work on sustainability related projects. So at some point, I feel like working in big companies is like great. I think you learn a lot of stuff when you work in these large corporations. But maybe I was like feeling disconnected about like the sustainability. It's like if you really want it to work, it's really about like the small enterprises because technically they make I do believe it's around like 95% of the world basically are like small SMEs. So I was like, okay, I'm only working with like the 5%, but like if you really want change, it's like with this like 95%. So that's why I decided to just like jump and
Awesome. Awesome.
be on my own, basically.
That's fantastic. I like your background and the work that you have done um, before you co-founded your companies. What challenge do you face as an entrepreneur in the sustainable finance and ESG space? What type of challenge would you say?
I think there's two type of challenges. The first challenge is like mostly about being an entrepreneur. And like what you learn is first of all, nobody's waiting for you, contrary to what you
Right.
might have when you haven't started. You're like, people are waiting for me because I'm the best, I have the best idea. But like the truth is nobody's waiting for you. So like you really have
Yeah.
to get it into your head that nobody's waiting for you. Like everything you want, you have to go and kind of like look for it and like grab it because nobody's going to do it for you. And
Right.
sometimes it's not about the knowledge. I do believe it's not about like all you know. It's really about like the way you present yourself, just the storytelling that you have. Because as I like saying, you have like the Steve Jobs, all these people that are very unique, but I do know I'm not a Steve Jobs. I do think my idea is great, but I also know that a lot of people have the same ideas I have. So how do I differentiate myself? That's what's going to make me different and like stand out. Basically, to me,
Right.
it's like really, it's not about like how an expert you are, but like how good you master the storytelling aspect of your business. Once you master the storytelling aspect, I think it kind of like unlock a lot of things behind. That's as an entrepreneur. That was, I think, like the first challenge. And like the other challenge was really about when you explain to people you're working like you come from the finance and you're working like sustainability and finance, it's a lot for people because it's
Yes.
like first like
Yes.
you have like the sustainability aspect, and people are very confused about sustainability. And I think like
Mhm.
you're based in the US, so you can see like the backlash related to sustainability and DEI. So like first there's this topic, people are very skeptical. And then you
Right.
have to mix it with finance. So in finance, we know that like there's a lack of financial education with people. So you come to people and you say, you know what, I come from sustainable finance. And people are like, huh? And like for some people, sustainability and finance do not go together. So there's like
Right.
this education work to do, and actually sustainable finance does exist, and it doesn't need to be like for the big corporation. Like even I, as an individual, I can work on sustainable finance. Just for instance, like I do believe we all have like some money saved somewhere. Like we're aiming to save money, and like the main question you can ask your like a financial advisor is like, where does my money go? Because it's your money. So and that's sustainable finance. Like you can say, okay, I've been saving my money, but like, does it finance like social project or does it finance, I don't know,
Right.
like fossil project? That's the first step towards sustainable finance. And it's not as out of reach that we might believe, basically. So that's the two challenges.
Gotcha. Absolutely. I completely understand. So the environmental, social, and governance is becoming a major focus for business worldwide. How do you see shaping the future of Africa entrepreneurship?
Mm, I think it's a very interesting question with a lot of layers. And I think, first of all, from what I've noticed working with like purpose-driven entrepreneurs, is like sometimes
Hmm.
purpose-driven entrepreneurs, they tend to be not all of them, but some of them, they tend to be like idealists. So because they have like
Hmm.
this amazing project, and I will never judge it because their projects are like super amazing. But I come from finance and I come from law, so I'm like one of the most pragmatic person you're going to meet in your life. And like
Yes.
the thing is, if we really wanted to work, like all the sustainability, it's all about measurement, basically. If you're not able to prove how the project work with kind of like key indicators, it's not going to go anywhere. So you have like the usual KPI that's for any business you have, but like you have to think, because you're branding yourself as a purpose-driven impact entrepreneurs, you have to have like KPI related to impact, related to ESG. Once you have it, people are going to believe you because, as we say, what cannot be measured doesn't exist. This is what you learn in finance. Like, if it can be
Yes.
measured, it can exist and people will invest. But like, if there's no kind of like indicators, like you call yourself like impact or like purpose driven, but like there's no indicators like proving that you have, like you're like in ESG, people are going to be okay, but I have no proof. So I think like the future is really about like impact measurements. Like one, people like master this. And I think it's not only an African issue. Like it's like everywhere, even like in Paris, like you go to conferences and like the big topic is really about how do you measure impact, because we have so many different realities regarding impact. Like the definition of impact can be the same in France or like I don't know, maybe like in the United States or maybe like in a country in West Africa, for instance. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. 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 I think so many people are interested in it and how it's going to shape the future. What are some common misconceptions about sustainable finance and how to address them? What are some of the
I
consumption?
think the main one that I have received when explaining sustainable finance, or just like saying the word sustainable finance, or like, oh, I do not believe that sustainability and finance do go together. Or
Go
people,
together.
yeah,
Yes.
people are like, sustainability and finance do not go together. So usually my reply is like, at the end of the day, like everything is about finance. Like this is like,
Right.
I'm not saying it's a great or bad thing, but like this is the society we are currently in. Everything is about finance. So if you really want things to change, it's about where you're putting your money in. Because like you can talk about sustainability all the way you want, but if there's no money, it
Right.
will not go anywhere. So I'm like, you want sustainability to move forward, but like, how is it going to move if there's no money involved? And that's a way to explain like sustainable finance. And like when you explain it this way, people are like, oh, okay, it's starting to make sense. And basically, in one sentence, what I like saying is like sustainable finance is just like putting your money in projects that do not destroy society. Basically, that's like a simple way, but like when you explain it this way, people are like, okay, it makes sense.
Exactly. Exactly. How can entrepreneurs balance profitability with social and economical impact?
To balance it, and I think it's to me, it's always going to be about. I know I repeat myself, but this is something we have been repeating to the entrepreneurs like we do help. It's really about metrics, really about metrics. It's about showing that you're a social entrepreneur, yes, but you are not a non-profit, okay? Like what we do is break the mold, it's a non-profit, but like what you're doing, it's not a non-profit. So you have to think like any business, and like any business that does exist is like you have to think about like your numbers, like I don't know, like your workforce, everything. Like you basically, it's like the same basics as any business, and you add metrics specific, sorry, uh to impact to social. Like I don't know, for instance, let's say we did help these entrepreneurs. This entrepreneur, he's like he has a fashion brand. He's based in Burkinabe. He has a fashion brand, and it's made from like recycled like plastic and recycled waste, basically. And so he had his pitch deck, and he was like, "Okay, you're branding yourself as like impact entrepreneurs, fine, but like, what are the metrics specific to your impact business?" And basically, his metrics were like, okay, like the basic metrics, the turnover is like, oh, first year is going to be X amount. Okay, fine. This is like the usual metrics. And like the second metrics, more specific to the impact side, were like, for instance, this year, by doing, for instance, I don't know, by doing like 50 items, I have used 1 kg of plastic waste, for instance, and you can see how it helps society. So this is what needs to be added, for instance. This is like really
Interesting.
about the metrics.
Interesting. Interesting. So let me ask you this. How breaking the mold suggests a shift in traditional thinking. What barriers are you helping entrepreneurs sort of overcome?
Mhm. Related to the barriers we're helping entrepreneurs, first of all, I would say it's really, to me, what makes an entrepreneur like maybe succeed and another not succeed is like, first of
Mhm.
all, it's about the mindset. It would be like always
Okay.
about the mindset, like the vision. And we try to be very pragmatic. So the first thing we say is like, it's not going to be easy because like what you have, because what you're doing, like you're doing two things at the same time is like, first of all,
Okay.
like you're fighting for your business, which makes sense. But
Right.
also because you come from the African continent, you're also like participating in this shift regarding Africa, all this narrative by saying, okay, I'm here, I'm asking money, but I'm not asking money for as a non-profit, I'm asking money as an investment. So I'm not asking you to give
Right.
me money just a non-profit, I'm asking you, you give me money, but I'm a company, so it's just going to have a return on investment. And that's like something you have to put in people's mind so that they can understand what they're going to face in the future. So that's how we work. It's really about this, about really helping them. And also when you tell people about like, for instance, like the fundraising ecosystem, people only think about like venture capitalists, VCs. But like the African landscape or like the financing African landscape is like so much, I would say, not so much, but it's like very different from what we can have in the West. So basically what we explain to them is like, okay, you have VCs, but first of all, VCs might not be the best option for you.
Exactly.
Overall,
Exactly.
they might not be the best option because like when you go into the VC road, prepare to compromise. And people don't
Right.
have this in their mindset is basically, I have a VC, so I have the money. Yeah, but do you know what it entitles you to do? This is like something
Right.
we do explain. First of all, like VC, they're not the only option. They might not even be the best option. And like within the African continent, like you have so many options. For instance, you have like, especially I think in like North Africa, you have like when you join some accelerators, actually they do also invest on your project. Like once you accept it, it means like you do receive funds, and like people are not aware. So you have like VCs, accelerators, impact investors, business angels, which I think are really underestimated, especially
Mm,
when like you're in the early stage funding
right.
phase. Like I would go, I would say go first to business angel. If you can have like business angel and show people like these individuals that do trust me, then next step might be VC or maybe something else. So yeah, that's
I
how we try
see.
to
Why do you
progress.
suggest that first?
Because like when you're on early stage, I think you won't ask for a big amount of money. And what is
Okay.
going to help you is like it's going to, because you don't have a big amount, it's going to be easier to structure basically and to ensure that your business is going to survive on the long term. Because let's say you like first and this is a situation that happens in Europe a lot. You're first time like you raise fund and amazing, you raise like 2 millions or whatever. It's great. But like what we notice is like people who raise 2 millions, like the next phase is like they don't know how to structure the money. So
Oh, I see.
yeah, you don't know. So when you start small, you have like kind of like a miniature phase. Like you can see this, it's easier to identify the phase. Like let's say you get like 15K, for instance. You know, with like
Right.
15K, you have to buy maybe two machines and like you're going to hire one person. It's easy to
Right.
identify a KPI. But let's say suddenly, like you had zero, you go from 0 to 1 million. Oh, wow. It's going to
Wow.
be it can be
Overwhelming.
overwhelming.
Yes.
Exactly. So that's like we're like, okay, just go for like early stage. And like in Africa, this is where we notice as is like a lack of funding. It's like early stage. Like I was talking about 15K because it's the example of the guy from Burkina Faso. He's
Right.
asking for 15K basically, and like this 15K, it's to
Right.
buy two machines for like the recycling part and to make it
Right.
faster to have like the fashion items, and then maybe to have one employee. But at least like he can see with like if he gets like his 15K, he will be able to see okay with 15K I will do this and this. It's like very straightforward. So
Right.
it's an intermediate state. Yes. But it really depends on the size of your business and what field you are. Maybe like if in like in the tech, or maybe might require more money. So it's like there's no real truth. But like since we work with like early stage investors, like usually they ask like around like 20, 50K, like small amount. And I think it's a great like first step. And then you can go for like the bigger amounts. Like you'll be more ready.
Yes, makes sense. I love that advice. I think you're spot on. How can you aspire business owners to get involved with the uplift and the benefit from your mission?
For the Uplift, like basically what I do with Uplift is like really helping SMEs go on like the sustainability train, because like what we noticed like on the street is like there's really like a maturity gap between SMEs and large corporations on like regarding sustainability. You have like large corporation because are driven by legislations, I guess. They don't have they have to work on sustainability, right? And then like
Yes.
you have SMEs and like they're not as driven by legislations as large corporations. But the thing is like when you take a look at all these regulations that are being applied to large corporations, it's like kind of like this supply chain aspect. Basically, they're telling large corporations that okay, you know what, we have all of this, but like a part of your duty is to check that your suppliers are also kind of like involved in the sustainability. So basically, if you're an SME and you're not involved in sustainability, you might just
Right.
like lose an opportunity to work with like these large companies, right? And like a lot of like,
Right.
SMEs live by working with all these large companies. But like if you don't join the sustainability train, you're missing out on opportunity to boost your productivity and to increase your turnover, basically. So it's like it's going to be different. The steps are going to be different, but it's always to go step by step, but to implement all these like sustainability practices within your business so that you can grow.
Makes sense. Makes sense. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs who want to integrate ESG principles in their business models?
I would say first, start small, and sometimes like I do believe like people tend to underestimate the sustainability. Like you have two schools, like you have entrepreneurs are going to be, oh, I do not do anything on sustainability. I don't know where to start. But actually, when you ask
Right.
them questions, they do have actions that can be identified as sustainability action. Like, for instance, there was this entrepreneur, she was like, oh, I don't do anything related to sustainability. And we're like, okay, I was like, okay. So I did kind of like asking questions and like an audit. And like what I did found out is like a lot of her time, like she was like kind of like mentoring young students, like young entrepreneurs. And actually, uh, this is a part of sustainability, working toward like social, like sharing of knowledge. It's a part of sustainability. I was like, oh, you see, actually, you're doing a sustainable action. So there's a big part about education, what is
Mm,
sustainability, because people only think about the environmental aspect of sustainability, but
right.
like you have other
Right.
aspects like the social one. I think you know about it. You have also like the governance one, like for instance, in your board, I don't know how many people from like how many women do you have, how many people from all about like diversity. So it's a part of sustainability, and this is how it's going to go. To me, it's like really about education and start small. So start by doing an audit. And you will see, you will be surprised to see that maybe you are already working on sustainability, but you are not
Right.
aware. That's a difference. I think it's always like we never start from scratch. That's my opinion.
Exactly. I love your answer because I think, like you said, a lot of people are not really sure about the definition of sustainability. And because they don't know, they may not actually understand the principles behind it and whether they're actually doing some aspect of it. Do you think there should be more awareness around sustainability
Yes,
in
definitely.
business?
Yeah, I think there should be like definitely more awareness, but it should be done in the correct way. I think the way things have been done, and I do believe one of the reasons there's a backlash on all these topics, it's because people feel like it's kind of like up to down process. And I think it should be a more collaborative process. So because like when you feel it's like an up to down process, you feel like people are giving you orders. And like nobody like being given orders. So that's why people are kind of like are like kind of like not very how to say it. They're not very receptive. But like if you put it in a way that is receptive, I think things are going to change, really. I really think that because nobody likes regulation. I mean, I come from a, a background, but like people see regulations as legislation, sorry, as something very bad or something very strict. So I think regulation is really important on the topic of sustainability if you want like stuff being a little like coherent, but we shouldn't neglect like the awareness and education part, like collaboration part. I think it's really important.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Awesome. Awesome. So, what's next for you and your organizations? Any upcoming projects that we should
Well,
look out for?
yeah, for sure. First of all, regarding break the mold, for the second cohort, we're seeing things a little bigger. We want it to be really bigger to have like more entrepreneurs, and because it's based in Africa, and we do believe it's great to see people virtually, but like nothing beats seeing people like on the field, like networking in person. So we want to have like for the second cohort this is going to have like kind of like a seminar with all the entrepreneurs in an African country. So we're still always on the lookout for partners or donors. So that's the first part. And also, we're going to open the applications for cohort two, I think, second part of the year. So please feel free to apply. And like for the uplift, it's more about always about raising awareness. So like if you need some help on like sustainability, feel free to reach out. And I have a newsletter one like once a month. It's like no more than once a month because I don't have the time anyway. I do send a newsletter on like any topic related to sustainability and like the one that is going to come out tomorrow actually. It's about like the intersection between sustainability and cybersecurity because I did co-write a white paper on the topic. So yeah, so if you're interested by the topic, so sure, feel free to reach out and to subscribe to the
Awesome.
newsletter. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome initiative. I love the technology aspect you're also involving in your projects because of where we're going. If you would give one piece of advice to your younger self today, what would that be and what you have learned in your journey?
I think it would be maybe do not be afraid to share your ideas. I think because what I've noticed, like the more you share ideas, like the more you gain trust because you can see people trusting you. So you're like, okay, if this person trusts my project, who am I to not trust my own project, right? So that's really the first. And like, actually, like the more you speak about your project to people, the more you gain confidence. That's what I've learned. So I would say, like, to me and to the younger me or to anyone listening, speak out about your project, and you'll see
Mhm.
you will get negative reactions, but it's life. Nothing is always like perfect, or you don't always get like positive reaction. But like most of the time, actually, like you will meet people that want to help you, and just reach out and speak out. You never know what this person has in store, how she can help you, or who she knows. So yeah, reach out, speak out, basically.
Awesome, awesome. I love that advice. And connect, right?
Yeah, I
It's a
can.
global world now. It's
But
so easy to connect with someone today or tomorrow about anything you're working on. How can our listeners connect with you and support your initiatives? What platforms would you like them to reach out to you on?
So for the advisory, like the Uplift, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and if you're just like curious on sustainability, you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. There's a link for the newsletter, so everything is in there. Really, it's like really about like the newsletter is like really about raising awareness on the topic, and like if it's for services, reach out on LinkedIn, always available. And like for Break the Mold, the same. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn because like we're still working on cohort two, we can like answer the questions and see what people need. Like we're always working on like updating the curriculum, or like if you have any questions, or like if you want to partner, like donations, also reach out to me on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is
Awesome.
the place to go, basically. And like
Exactly.
open doors and like emails and all this stuff. But like starting point, like for the advisory firm or for the non-profit, it's on LinkedIn. Like Clémence,
Exactly.
yes.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Clemence, for your time today, for
Thank
sharing
you.
your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience, the projects and the initiatives you're working on in Africa and also in abroad. For anyone listening today, feel free to reach out to her and learn more about what she's doing, or if you want to apply to some of the work that she has already shared. We appreciate you for being on our show today, and we'll look forward to see what else you're going to be doing in the future.
Thank you. Lovely speaking with you today, Joyce. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.